I didn't want to make this video. I really, really didn't. But dear God, I'm going to have to. Because as someone who grew up in the 90s, as someone who actually grew up during a time where actual conflict was a real thing, the fear of terrorism was a real thing, the fear of everything was a real thing, the fear of just radicals taking to the streets was a real thing. But now I fear we are at that point where it is happening. For those who have tried to avoid this, as I have, who have tried to live their lives as I have, who have basically tried to cut out all politics as I have, I'm going to have to speak my piece about this. As someone who does have Jewish blood in him, as someone who does have Jewish family, as someone who does have family who actually is fighting right now, not just in Ukraine, but also in Israel. And no, I'm not speaking as a Zionist. This is the one thing I hate about the movements right now. All the pro-Palestinians and all these crazy morons are basically supporting terrorists. If this shit had happened after 9/11 happened, they would have been mercilessly attacked and beaten. If this shit happened after the Rodney King riots, they would have been mercilessly beaten and lynched. But we are now living in a world where it is perfectly okay to be an anti-Semite and be claimed to be a hero by those of the internet. But that is not what I'm afraid of. No. And before anyone says, oh, you're afraid because of... I shut the fuck up and actually hear what I'm afraid of, what's going to happen. And this will happen. All this hate, all these gatherings, it's going to get to the point where terrorists are going to slip in via the Mexican border, because that has happened. They're going to slip in, and they are going to basically start getting amongst the pro-Palestinian movements and start radicalizing these people to the point where they are going to start racking bodies. The war is going to come to our shores, sooner or later. Bodies will drop, and people will claim they are doing it in the name of their religion, or in the name of Gaza, or in the name of Hamas. I am afraid that is going to happen. And the moment that happens, that's where violence is just going to erupt in this nation of ours. The police are no longer doing anything they can to try and stop this. I have seen and watched footage of just campus police and even regular state police and even just federal agencies not doing a goddamn thing about it. And that is what scares me. And what's worse is that the majority of this is happening within the cities, within the universities. If you have not read Starship Troopers, the book, and before anyone starts crying, oh, why are you reading that fascist thing? Shut the hell up and actually listen. Not Paul Verhoeven. You see how upset I am? I'm mixing up words. That's how I'm upset and how scared I am. In the book, it was stated that we had been... That America, predicted in the 1950s, mind you, by Robert Heinlein, predicted that we will see a massive, uncontrollable bouts of violence by young people, by gangs of young people, and they will just be caught and then released back out to conduct more violence. That we saw, that he predicted basically that this will happen. As much as I don't want to say, hey, a science fiction author actually predicted this happening, you could say the same goddamn thing about The Simpsons and everything they have predicted coming true. You could say the same damn thing about all these people from the past who have said, hey, this moment in history happens or may happen, and then everyone at the time will be like, oh, it's never going to happen. And then it's fucking happening! And that's what scares me. It scares me that we are to the point now where we are possibly going to see attacks from this group and them claiming that they're doing it okay. We saw this already with one woman, or at least one person, mind you, in either, I'm trying to remember what nation it was. It was either the United Kingdom, Australia, or New Zealand. One of those former British colonies who attacked and killed a person and did it in the name of the people of Gaza. And just recently they were sentenced to life in prison because of it. It is going to get to the point where we will be seeing violent clashes that will end bloody. I'm not trying to be that guy who's saying, oh, we should fearmonger over the possibility of this. I am simply throwing air to the caution, saying that it could happen. I am just afraid. I'm afraid that, as someone who has seen and lived through many events in history, now many of these people who are in college, who never saw this stuff, who have never seen the news footage from Afghanistan and Iraq when we invaded. News reporters asking the question, why and how could it happen, have never experienced it. They have never experienced seeing a loved one coming home in a box with a flag folded being handed to them. They have never experienced any of that. I, and many of us who grew up during that time period on the War on Terror, have. I can only hope to God, I can only pray to God, that actual cool heads prevail in this. I can only hope to God that this does not spiral out of control. I really, really do, because Jesus Christ. Because no matter who you are, no matter what side you're on, even you can agree that in the United States, we shouldn't be calling for the death of the Jewish people. We shouldn't be calling for the death of any people, mind you. But even in war, those lines are blurred. And I hate to say it, but we're getting to the point now where the inevitable may happen. The cities will burn, and we will have not tried to stop it. I pray to God that never happens. For my own little brother's sake, and for my own family's sake, and for those who actually are wanting a peaceful solution to all of this. Because while, yes, I may play Airsoft, and while, yes, I may actually work on stories that do, and even review stories that deal with the subject of war and politics, I myself never want to see a day where violence is the only fucking answer. I believe full-heartedly that peace should be the first and very much so pushed solution to everything. We should use words to speak instead of violence. Yet, as I look out through our earth, as I look back at history, and my own family's history, I cannot help but think that there is no turning back. That we are pushing ourselves to the edge of the precipice. And the inevitable will happen. I hope to God that that doesn't happen. I hope to God that we back up and we talk. I hope to God we do. I hope to God we do.